15 early signs of dementia that almost no one recognizes. Have you ever felt like something's off, but you just can't put your finger on what exactly? Little everyday gestures, subtle attitudes, and almost unnoticeable behaviors might be revealing something way bigger than they seem. And most people completely ignore these signs, letting time erase what could have been saved. The mind doesn't just fail all of a sudden. It whispers, gives shy signals, silently asks for help. And it's in that silence where many get lost. Dementia doesn't start with a big memory loss. It hides in everyday details that go unnoticed, even by those living right beside the person. But what if you could spot these signs before they become irreversible? In this video, you'll learn how to detect the earliest clues of cognitive changes and why they're so hard to notice. What looks like just a new habit or a passing quirk might actually be a silent alarm from the brain. Get ready to see what few people see, because recognizing it now could change everything later. Number 15. Frequently putting things in the wrong places. Have you ever found a remote control in the fridge or your keys inside the food cabinet? These slip-ups might seem funny or harmless at first, but when they happen often, they deserve attention. Putting objects in completely wrong places is one of the early behavioral signs that could indicate significant cognitive changes. It's a behavior that can reveal way more than just distraction or tiredness. When it repeats, it might be related to the brain struggling to link function and place. In the early stages of dementia, short-term memory starts to fail, and the mind may lose the ability to organize basic info. This directly affects how people handle daily life. Objects get left in random spots because the brain fails to store and retrieve information about where they belong. It's not just about forgetting where you put something, but losing the logical reasoning that used to come naturally. The person starts putting things away without thinking, and then can't understand why they can't find them. It's common for this behavior to be blamed on stress or rushing, which makes these first signs go unnoticed. Family members often laugh it off or justify it as old age stuff, not realizing there could be something more serious behind it. The problem is, it might be happening more often than you think. And the sooner it's noticed, the better the chances of getting professional help and making important adjustments. Spotting this pattern is essential to act preventively. Besides that, there's a practical risk involved. Putting things in wrong places can cause home accidents, like forgetting medicine out of reach, leaving pots in dangerous spots, or even losing important documents. This reinforces the need for constant vigilance and family support. Creating routines and leaving visual instructions can really help at this stage. Simple strategies like labels and dividers make a big difference day to day. Number 14. Losing sense of social or personal boundaries. Unusual behaviors, impulsive attitudes, or inappropriate remarks might look like personality changes, but they can also be an early sign of dementia. When someone who used to be reserved starts interrupting conversations, making intrusive comments, or acting out of place in public, it's time to raise a red flag. This loss of social filter isn't meanness or bad manners, it's a reflection of deterioration in brain areas responsible for judgment. The brain loses the brake that controlled certain impulses. This change usually starts subtly and often gets mistaken for carelessness or a new phase of behavior. But over time, the frequency and intensity increase. The person may become annoying, ask embarrassing questions, or invade others' personal space. What used to be respect for boundaries turns into disregard naturally. Unfortunately, this affects relationships and social life. Losing the sense of boundaries can show up in many ways, from spilling other people's secrets to making intimate comments at the wrong time. Some might undress in inappropriate places or behave childishly in public. These signs deserve attention and must never be ignored. The brain just isn't processing social rules properly anymore, and that has real consequences for the patient and those around them. This behavior can also lead to isolation. People acting out inappropriately might get avoided, excluded, or mocked. This adds to depression, anxiety, and more confusion. Social exclusion, which should be prevented, ends up being reinforced. That's why the earlier the signs are spotted, the better the chances to preserve social bonds with dignity. Information and support make all the difference here. Number 13. Using wrong words to describe objects or feelings. Imagine someone who always spoke clearly suddenly calling a cup drink thing, or expressing sadness by saying, "I'm kind of broken inside." This kind of change in vocabulary might be one of the first signs the brain is struggling to access words and concepts. This difficulty naming objects or expressing emotions precisely is called anomia. It directly affects communication and social life. At first, people often try to get around the problem with gestures or vague descriptions like "that thing," or "you know what I mean." Over time, it happens more often, causing frustration for both speaker and listener. This word swapping is more than forgetfulness, it's a failure to retrieve language. Semantic memory, which organizes meanings, starts to get damaged. These changes may seem small but hit the person's self-esteem hard. Feeling like you're losing your words creates insecurity and fear of social interactions. Many prefer to stay silent to avoid embarrassment. That isolation, in turn, worsens the condition because the brain needs language stimulation to keep working. It's a dangerous cycle that needs to be broken carefully and with support. Fortunately, there are ways to intervene and stimulate language even early on. Working with speech therapists, reading aloud daily, and guided conversations help keep the brain's word-object link strong. Creating an environment that encourages talking and values communication is key. Small daily efforts make a big difference. Language stimulation is a powerful prevention tool. Number 12. Difficulty recognizing familiar faces. You're out in public with someone close to you, and suddenly they look at an acquaintance and ask, "Who is that again?" This trouble recognizing familiar faces, especially out of context, is one of dementia's most unsettling symptoms. It's not forgetting names, but failing to identify faces. It's like the brain can't connect that face to a clear memory anymore. Early on, this usually happens with people the person doesn't see often. But as it progresses, even very familiar faces like kids or grandkids might get confused. The weird thing is, this mix-up often doesn't happen at home. Outside the usual environment, the mind loses its references. The brain needs context to make associations, and in dementia, that process breaks down. You might also notice a curious behavior. The person starts avoiding eye contact or pretends to recognize someone so they don't show insecurity. This defense mechanism can hide the problem's seriousness for a while, but tends to get worse, showing the urgent need for medical evaluation. Visual perception and associative memory are key in this. Be patient with anyone facing this challenge. Recognizing faces is something most of us take for granted, but with dementia, it becomes a real internal battle. When someone starts forgetting faces, the time to act with empathy and intervention has already begun. And presence, more than recognition, becomes the greatest comfort possible. Number 11. Locking themselves in the house out of fear or insecurity without real reason. When someone starts locking themselves in, refusing visitors, and showing fear of normal situations, something might be going on beyond just caution. This behavior, often blamed on shyness or loneliness, can be an early sign of cognitive changes. The feeling of insecurity can appear even in familiar places, like the home no longer feeling safe. Dementia alters reality perception, affecting the sense of protection. It's common for the person to say they're scared to go out or don't feel good around strangers. But there's no real reason behind this fear, which makes it even more worrying. Often, the fear comes with generalized distrust, even toward close people. The mind starts creating distorted interpretations of the world, intensifying the sense of threat. This insecurity comes from disorganized cognitive functions, especially in the brain area that interprets external stimuli. The person starts confusing noises, faces, and situations, and fear shows up as a defense mechanism. It's the body's way to avoid what it can't understand. But this defense, although instinctive, causes real harm to health and well-being. One way to help is making the environment more predictable and welcoming. Keeping clear routines, reinforcing bonds with trusted people, and offering daily emotional support make a difference. Sometimes a simple caring talk or a light walk with company helps break the fear cycle. The key is not to push, but to welcome and rebuild trust with patience and consistency. Number 10. Forgetting to eat or eating repeatedly. Eating is one of our body's most automatic, regular functions. So when someone starts forgetting to eat or, on the other hand, repeats meals multiple times a day, it's time to check things out. These irregular eating patterns can point to memory failures or trouble organizing time. The person simply doesn't remember they already ate or that they need to eat. At first, this might look like simple distraction. But over time, the effects add up. Weight loss, malnutrition, or digestive issues from overeating. One big challenge in dementia is time disorientation. The idea of morning, afternoon, and night starts to blur, directly affecting meal times. Without that reference, eating stops following a healthy pattern. These behaviors are also linked to forgetting basic functions. The person might open the fridge, grab food, then leave it on the counter, forgetting why they got it. Or they might eat lunch and an hour later ask for food again. This requires caregivers and family to be extra alert. Visual reminders, alarms, and supervised meal planning work well here. Besides nutrition, there's an important emotional part. Forgetting to eat or eating repeatedly can cause shame, frustration, and irritation. The person feels out of themselves, which hits their self-esteem even more. That's why support is crucial. No one should be scolded for forgetting what their brain just can't keep track of anymore. Patience and empathy are key in this process. Number 9. Forgetting how to use everyday devices. Imagine not remembering how to answer a call, change the TV channel, or open an app on your phone. Losing practical skills that used to be automatic is one of the most worrying early dementia signs. It's not just about forgetting passwords or icons, but not knowing how to handle common objects anymore. It's like the brain erased an entire routine. This symptom is called ideational apraxia, meaning the brain struggles to process the logical sequence of actions. Simple stuff like making coffee or using the microwave becomes a tough challenge. The person looks at the device, knows they used it before, but can't take the next step. This confusion causes anxiety, fear of messing up, and often the person stops trying out of shame. Many families think it's just old age stuff or laziness, but that mindset is dangerous. Ignoring device use difficulties delays diagnosis and blocks interventions that could keep functionality longer. Training the use of objects patiently, calmly repeating instructions without judgment, builds confidence. Positive reinforcement helps a lot. There are useful strategies here: labeling devices, drawing simple use guides, and creating visual routines. These help retrieve procedural memory, the brain part for practical tasks. The earlier this is done, the better the results. It's not about pushing but guiding with respect and clarity. Number 8. Constant feeling of disorientation or confused head. That feeling of being on autopilot, where your body moves but your mind feels distant, might be one of the first dementia warning signs. This ongoing mental fog isn't just tiredness or distraction. It's a real haze settling over your thinking. The person starts struggling to focus, gets lost in conversations or simple tasks. It's like everything around gets scrambled. Often, the person doesn't even realize they're disoriented. They just feel something's weird, like reality isn't clear. This can cause fear, irritation, or silent anguish. This feeling also makes simple decisions hard, like picking clothes or understanding news. Logical thinking and mental clarity get compromised, messing with daily routines. At home, this shows as forgetting tasks, repeating questions, or mixing up times. The person might make breakfast, then minutes later ask if they already ate, or totally forget an appointment. Over time, the sense of time and space fades. Yesterday blends with today, and now feels far away. For those living with someone like this, patience is key. Creating a calm environment with few distractions and predictable routines helps a lot. Repeating instructions clearly, using visual calendars, and offering gentle support make a big difference. Every caring gesture helps bring back a bit of orientation. Number 7. Changes in sleep. A good night's sleep is crucial for physical and mental balance. When sleep patterns change drastically, whether sleeping too much or constant insomnia, it's time to check why. Often, these changes are early signs that the brain is struggling. Dementia messes with circadian rhythms, which control our wake-sleep cycle. It's common for the person to start sleeping at odd hours, napping many times a day, or, on the flip side, staying up all night restless. This isn't just a routine problem, it's a neurological symptom. The brain loses its ability to regulate the internal clock, mixing up day and night. This affects not just the person, but also caregivers who end up exhausted. Sleep deprivation or oversleeping hit memory, mood, and thinking skills directly. Poor sleepers get more irritable, confused, and unfocused. This can lead to night delusions where the person wakes scared or says nonsense in the middle of the night. Nighttime becomes a very vulnerable period. Simple strategies can help stabilize this rhythm. Having fixed sleep and wake times, avoiding screens at night, doing relaxing activities before bed, and keeping the room dark work well. Sometimes doctors suggest melatonin supplements or natural treatments. The key is never to ignore these changes as just quirks. Number 6. Difficulty understanding what's heard. Have you ever heard someone say, "I heard you, but didn't get what you meant"? That phrase can reveal much more than it seems. Difficulty understanding speech, even with good hearing, is an early dementia sign. The brain hears the sound but struggles to process the meaning of words. It's like the sentences get scrambled in the mind. This causes frustration for both the speaker and the listener. The person might ask for repeats many times, misunderstand what was said, or give answers that don't make sense. It's not stubbornness or inattention, it's a cognitive processing problem. The brain can no longer clearly decode auditory stimuli. This can be confused with actual hearing loss, but tests show no significant hearing damage. What fails is the brain's interpretation. The connections that turn sound into language are deteriorating. The brain doesn't transform what it hears into understandable content, causing frequent misunderstandings. To help, speak calmly in quiet places using simple and direct sentences. Repeat patiently and watch the listener's facial expression to check understanding. Avoid pressure, judgments, or sarcasm. That only worsens confusion and fear of making mistakes. Creating a calm listening environment helps communication. Number 5. Frequently mixing up names of close people. Forgetting names now and then is normal, but when it happens a lot with very close people, it's time to pay attention. Calling a grandkid by the child's name or a spouse by a sibling's name might seem confusing, but is more than a simple slip. This kind of constant swapping can signal that associative memory is starting to fail. This happens early in dementia. At first, it might seem like an innocent slip, one name here, another there. But when episodes become repetitive and affect close relationships, investigation is important. The brain starts mixing faces and identities, even if it still visually recognizes the person. The confusion is in accessing info, not necessarily in face recognition. It's essential not to ridicule or sharply correct. For the person, it feels like losing control of their own thoughts. Insecurity sets in, and often they prefer not to call anyone by name to avoid mistakes. This fuels isolation and loss of bonds. Emotional communication must be preserved with patience and care. Practical help includes using photos with names written, repeating names often during the day, playing association games, and using affectionate nicknames that aid memory. The more verbal and visual stimulation, the better. These strategies keep the brain active and can slow memory loss progression. The goal is to preserve emotional connection. Number 4. Neglecting personal hygiene. Hygiene is one of our most automatic daily routines. Brushing teeth, showering, changing clothes. When someone starts neglecting these, the impact goes beyond appearance. Forgetting or simply ignoring personal care can be a clear sign of cognitive decline. It's one of the most visible signs and unfortunately often misunderstood. At first, episodes seem like carelessness, a missed shower, wearing the same clothes for days. But over time, it becomes a pattern. The person might not remember the last time they showered or brushed teeth. They might even refuse these habits without really understanding why. This means the brain is losing the ability to organize basic routines and see their importance. It's crucial to handle this delicately. Scolding or demanding usually doesn't work and often makes resistance worse. The best approach is turning hygiene into a structured routine with set times and loving support. Calm explanations, offering help, and praising personal care encourage sticking to habits. Neglecting hygiene isn't laziness or rebellion. It's a sign of a brain losing control over daily life. Recognizing this with empathy is the first step to help. Every care gesture, every shower taken, every toothbrushing is a meaningful win in the journey of care and autonomy preservation. Number 3. Subtle changes in handwriting or drawing. Writing has always been linked to personal identity. A person's handwriting carries their style, history, individuality. So subtle changes in writing, shaky letters, uneven spacing, loss of coherence, can be valuable signs to spot dementia's start. The same goes for drawings or doodles that used to look simple. These changes are quiet, but visible. Letters that were neat become hard to read. The person writes outside the lines, forgets words, or often swaps letters. The brain starts losing fine motor coordination and logical writing sequence. The handwriting that once flowed naturally now comes with effort and hesitation. Drawings say a lot too. A crooked circle, a poorly built house, disconnected strokes. These signs show visual perception and coordination are affected. These clues often appear before obvious symptoms, so they're important to notice. What looks like just different could be the start of something serious. For those who spot these changes, it's important to encourage without pressure. Daily writing with notes, journals, and word games helps keep the brain active. The same goes for simple drawings and coloring mandalas. The goal isn't perfection, but keeping the activity enjoyable and ongoing. This stimulates important brain areas. Number 2. Decreased initiative to start activities. Lack of motivation to start routine tasks might seem like laziness or tiredness, but when it becomes constant, it's a big warning sign. People who used to be active and interested start avoiding simple things like getting out of bed, talking, or making a meal. This apathy can be one of dementia's first behavioral symptoms. The brain loses the ability to trigger the impulse to act. Lack of initiative doesn't necessarily mean sadness. Often the person isn't depressed, just unmotivated for no clear reason. The mind goes into inertia, and actions that were automatic now require way more effort. It's like there's no mental energy to start anything. This symptom is subtle but deeply impacts quality of life. This symptom is often mistaken for disinterest or stubbornness, causing family conflicts. But the key is to understand it's a failure in the brain's executive processing. The person doesn't act because they lost internal motivation, not by conscious choice. External judgment just makes it worse and triggers frustration and guilt. Light daily stimuli help reverse this initial apathy. Creating routines with small, enjoyable tasks, always with positive encouragement, can help the brain reclaim the habit of action. Having a loved one nearby during these activities also matters. Patience is needed because regaining interest can be slow, but it's possible. Number 1. Difficulty following simple instructions or recipes. Following a cooking recipe, assembling furniture, or even understanding a device manual are simple tasks for most people. But when someone starts struggling with these basic steps, it's a sign something might be wrong with cognitive function. Difficulty keeping up with simple instructions is one of the first signs the brain is having trouble organizing info. And that deserves attention. The person might read a recipe several times, yet forget the next step, swap ingredients, or quit halfway. This happens because working memory, which stores and applies temporary info, is compromised. This difficulty shows even in routine tasks like taking medicine, paying a bill, or using an appliance. The brain can't keep the logical sequence. Families often try to teach again, thinking it's lack of attention or disorganization. But actually, it's the brain failing to convert info into action. The person wants to do it, but can't. This causes frustration, irritability, and shame. Common reactions include quitting halfway or avoiding similar situations in the future. To deal with this, the best is breaking instructions into very small steps with visual support, patience, and constant encouragement. Doing it together, demonstrating calmly, and not demanding perfection build confidence and performance. Praising successes and ignoring occasional mistakes also helps keep motivation. Practice here is a great ally. If someone close starts struggling with tasks they used to do easily, don't downplay it. Difficulty following simple instructions is a clear sign the brain is asking for attention. It's the right time to seek medical evaluation, do cognitive tests, and plan care. Because when you catch it early, you also have better chances to preserve autonomy and dignity of the one you love. And to keep getting the best videos for your health and well-being, subscribe to the channel. It exists for a very simple reason, to help you become a stronger, happier person. And in the video appearing now on your screen, I reveal what to eat every day to restore your memory. To watch that video, just click on the screen.